A Quinnipiac poll of Colorado Republican voters revealed that 25% currently support Dr. Ben Carson. The results released on Wednesday show Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, and Ted Cruz all fighting for second place, while Carly Fiorina, Rand Paul, and Jeb Bush came in a distant third. Penn, we love talking about polls like this, but we are still a little under a year from the actual general election. Colorado has given up its really official Republican primary, whatever it is. Their straw poll is not going to matter in next year. So it's not that this is going to predict what Colorado is going to do. But all that being said, we love talking about this. What do you pull out from these poll results?
Sure. I think it shows a couple of things. We have talked for quite a while now, a number of years, about how Colorado has evolved into a purple state, where depending on the candidate, the issue, and some of the broader context, Republicans can win, Democrats can win. And I think the poll reflects that. I think among the Republican candidates, Ben Carson at this point has probably been successful in the minds of, I would say, most moderate, or what I call traditional Republicans, is not being as being the least extreme, the least overbearing, the least offensive, the least incompetent, the least bumbling, and the least contradictory. So he gets the most votes in support. I think Trump is too loud. I think Rubio and Cruz and even Bush are probably too far to one extreme or another on particular issues for the vast majority of mainstream Colorado Republicans. And I think the Republican Party in our state has worked hard over the years. First, it was the captive of the moral majority and sort of the faith community. Now it's been struggling to fight back against the Tea Party, because the Tea Party's been running some pretty outrageous candidates that even the Colorado Republican Party doesn't really want to support. And so this doesn't surprise me at all that Carson is in this position and that Trump is sort of back down with Rubio and Cruz, because I think the Coloradans aren't that extreme. And we'll see if this continues. And you're right, part of this is academic, because 2/3 of these people aren't going to be around come May anyway. So,
Ben, these poll results that we're seeing from this poll seem to mirror a lot of the national trending. Dr. Carson's having a much better November than Donald Trump is, things like that. But Colorado likes to tweak national standards. We like to be just the outsider, but usually a little bit close to the election. Do you think Colorado Republicans, if they were to have a vote that counted in the primary season, would buck a national trend?
It's so hard to say, because I think what you're seeing nationally is that there's a huge fracturing that's taken place in the Republican Party, and all of these guys have their own little bases of support. I think here in Colorado, part of the reason that you're seeing Dr. Carson see so much support is because we do have a really substantial evangelical population, and even though he's perhaps less bombastic than some of the other candidates, he's pretty fervent about his religion and is unafraid to say so. So I think that has created a lot of appeal. You know, to me, when I looked at the poll, the big takeaway that I got is that they have a generic Republican beating Hillary Clinton by 10 points. And so the thing that I'd like to say about this is that any Quinnipiac poll done in Colorado should be taken with a huge grain of salt. If they were even close to being accurate, you know, we would have Governor Beaupre today probably running as fast as he can to jump on the, you know, Republican hysteria bandwagon, saying we can't have orphans come out of Syria getting away from ISIS, but we can totally sell guns to people on the terrorist watch list. So, you know, I think that this is a total non-starter and should be, frankly, dismissed out of hand.
You do get the David Coppola Award of bringing it back at topic 2 and topic 3. Sure. Well done. Patty, is do you think that Ben Carson will continue to see this kind of popularity in Colorado?
I think what happened in Paris last week is going to change how people feel about Ben Carson, because depending on, I mean, you might want to bomb the hell out of ISIS, which is, of course, what Donald Trump is saying. You might want to take an approach some of the other Republican candidates are doing. But of all of them, he, of course, has the least, truly the least amount of experience in thinking about foreign affairs. And, you know, I guess maybe he'd go to China. That's the whole issue. You know, he's got the China involved in the Middle East. He might be focusing on the wrong thing. So I think as people really weigh interesting, smart man, religious against his experience, I think it will shift, because they're going to think, who do we want to be in the White House if and when terrorism hits this country?
Mike, if Colorado Republicans vote counted in the primary season, who do you think wins it in the spring?
Well, I will tell you that, and Ben is right, that Ben Carson has a strong appeal to culturally conservative and evangelical conservatives and Republicans. He really does. He has a strong base. In fact, you saw that when during the debate in Boulder, he packed the house over at Colorado Christian University at a Centennial Institute event, and they really loved him over there. I actually think, I don't know who would win that debate, because you remember Colorado primary voters, Republican primary voters tend to elect candidates who don't do particularly well in general elections. I've noticed that over the last couple of weeks, and one of the reasons I think Ben Carson got a bump in this latest poll was that he has been slapped around hard by the national press over some misstatements and some claims he's made, and has really seen some scrutiny that you don't usually see just before we even have a candidate. Before he's even the candidate. Certainly you wouldn't have seen so for example, a lot of people have said, well, Barack Obama's grades were never examined this closely, even though a lot of people had questions about him, but also you have Ben Carson, all of a sudden he's being scrutinized. So I think you're actually seeing a bump because a lot of Republican voters are looking at what they consider to be the liberal mainstream press, slapping around a guy they like. And so he's getting a bump out of that. I have a hard time seeing it stick around. And by the way, if you want to see Donald Trump, if you want to start getting used to saying President Trump, let's just see another attack somewhere closer to American shores, and he seems to have grabbed that microphone.
He grabbed that microphone, but anytime a presidential candidate says the answer to something like this is closing down mosques and forgetting the entire fact that we have a First Amendment, it's got to lose a little bit of credibility. But maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me.